What's up, everybody? King Triple C here, the Olympic champion, flyweight champion, the bantamweight champion of the world. And I got a public service announcement to all you wannabe MMA casuals or MMA fans for that reason. You guys make sure to listen to my boy Story of the Fight with Will and Miro. You know why? Because Triple C said so. And if you don't, you can do me a favor and you can bend the knee to King Triple C 2.
Cool. Yesterday, not gonna lie, started watching the fights. Like I said, it came in a little bit later because Dallas had a football game.
Yeah.
And like when I started watching it, it was on the Murphy fight.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, I was so tired, man. I was exhausted.
Oh no.
Like I started my PTO on Friday.
Oh, for real?
And yeah. For some reason, I started my PTO, and I'm like, Friday comes along, my first day of PTO. I'm like, it's 5:45 in the morning. Let me wake up right now.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, same thing. It's like 5:15 in the morning. Let me wake up right now.
Yeah.
So by the time I got home, like I didn't watch the fights in the living room. I watched the fights in the bedroom.
Ooh.
So I'm laying down in bed watching the fights. Terrible idea.
Yeah.
Just terrible idea, dude. I'm in and out. Like I watch, I watch Bruce Buffer where, he announces a fighter, and then next thing I know, it's like middle of the second round. I'm like, dude, no. I have to go back and watch this now.
Nice.
That was like pretty much everything leading up until the Khabib fight.
Yeah. Did you pay for the pay-per-view?
Yes.
How does that work now? Oh, okay, never mind.
Yes, I did. Yeah, no, but I mean, yeah, if I paid for the pay-per-view,
Mm-hmm.
like I did, right, and I missed some of the fights, like how would I go back and watch some of that? I don't know if it's like 24 hours, you have access to it or something. I don't know.
I just haven't done, because they stopped doing like TV pay-per-view, right? You have to do it through the app.
Have to do it through ESPN.
That's so stupid, because like what if you have like shitty internet, but you have like you have a TV service you could pay. I mean, that's what I used to do back in the day when
But dude, it happens even with the TV services. Like when I was gonna watch it was John Jones versus I don't remember who.
Mm-hmm.
But do you remember me telling you that I got in a big old fight with Spectrum, which is like the cable company over here, similar to Comcast?
Yeah, Spectrum. The TV package from Spectrum's garbage. Their internet's great.
I was so pissed.
But
half the pay-per-view card I missed.
Wow.
Because their stupid box.
Yeah,
so I get in an argument with this dude. I was on the phone with them for 1 hour before they were able to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And they're like, do you still want it? I'm like, no, I don't want it anymore. But like 3/4 into the card, I'm not going to pay the entire price.
Yeah.
I was so pissed. And I was like, dude, while we're at it, cancel my service.
Yeah.
And, oh, dude, I was so heated. So heated.
Yeah.
But anyways, no more of that.
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't had any problems with the UFC app.
For me, it was like back when I lived in Prunedale, my internet speed was AT&T Uverse. So my internet speed was like 5 megabits down. So like god awful. But I had Dish for TV service, right?
Mm.
So the pay-per-views for there were always flawless. Never had one issue with pay-per-views through Dish. But then if I still had AT&T Uverse and they switched to this model, I'd be fucked, dude. Like that's not good enough to stream a pay-per-view.
That's a good point.
Like
that's a good point.
Yeah, that sucks, dude. And this
at that point, you'd probably be better off using like your Verizon signal or your AT&T signal or something on your phone and just watch it from there, so you wouldn't have to worry about it cutting out.
Yeah, which would suck having to being at home with my phone, just like people over, dude, order some pizzas and we're just watching it on my phone.
I mean, you at that point, I'd probably just get like a connected tablet or something,
mm-hmm.
hook it up to the TV, or somehow just mirror it over.
Yeah, but then it's like, what are we doing here? Let me just pay-per-view it through my cable.
Yeah, I know. It's too many steps.
Yeah.
Too many steps, man.
Yeah.
But all I know is I wouldn't miss it. I'd make it happen somehow. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah,
no,
that's the first time I've ever heard that joke.
So let's talk about the fights, man.
First time I've ever heard that joke my whole life.
Yes. Score. Let's start off with Oliveira versus Rakhmonov.
Yeah, dude, this was a sick fight, dude. This was well, first let's do a quick moment of silence for
moment of silence, dude.
Rafael dos Anjos versus Islam Makhachev.
That would have been a really good one.
Yeah.
Was that the only one?
I mean, Umar Nurmagomedov was supposed to fight. That kind of sucks that he couldn't fight. Cynthia Calvillo was supposed to fight Lauren Murphy originally, so that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
And then
is that it?
So Rakhmonov versus Oliveira though.
Dude, so first with that was one of the most awkward moments of silences I think we've done so far.
That's kind of my goal now, to be honest, is to make it like
as awkward as possible.
Stupid as possible.
With Rakhmonov from Kazakhstan.
Yeah, Borat 2 just came out.
Best thing to come out since Borat.
Yeah.
Dude, best thing to happen or to come out of Kazakhstan since Borat.
Man, back-to-back days.
All I can think about.
Borat 2 comes out Friday. Rakhmonov makes his debut Saturday. Things are looking good.
It's off and popping for Kazakhstan right now.
Yeah.
But I can continue thinking about Borat saying that he has his sister's number 3 prostitute in all of Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
And this guy is the number 1 welterweight coming out of all of Kazakhstan. So we're talking a lot of ranked people coming out of Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
Between Borat's sister and Rakhmonov. But man, he looked good, dude.
Yeah, he looked really. I was because he was supposed to fight Zaleski originally. He wasn't supposed to fight and that's a tough fight, Zaleski dos Santos. So right away, if that's his debut fight that they're giving him, already the UFC sees
they think
something.
highly of him.
Yeah, they already see something. He's 12-0, and for them to have a short-term replacement fighter in Oliveira to fight him is like, they think very highly of him. The fact that they were going to throw him into the wolves like that. I mean, dude, Oliveira is a dog, dude. That guy is scrappy as fuck, dude. Like,
and he's coming off of an active 2020. I think he was coming off of a couple of victories as well. He missed weight, but
not the first time.
I mean, yeah, not the first time, and probably not going to be the last time with Oliveira.
Yeah.
And I feel like he started off really well. He was in and out quickly.
Dude,
he had a couple really quick strikes.
He had this dart in where he switched stances to land the overhand and then scoot across and cut the angle away. And I was like, beautiful. Oh, fuck, dude. It was so quick the way he was in and then out on the opposite side and switched stances mid-strike. Man, it was smooth. So
Seamless.
When he landed that, I was like, man, Rakhmonov was probably like, what the fuck, dude? Fuck you, UFC. Like, this is my debut.
But then he remembered he was the number 1 welterweight coming out of Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
And so he was good, man, after that. He was mentally prepared.
Yeah.
And what I was looking at, though, with Oliveira is he seemed to fade quickly in this one. Because he was really quick in and out, like I was talking about that first round, but you saw him fading. And I wonder, there's just more behind the weight cut that we didn't know about.
Probably. I mean, short
he didn't
term,
seem himself.
Or short notice, not short term. He probably wasn't in like crazy shape. He has to fly all the way to Abu Dhabi on short notice, not prepared for that. I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of factors. He definitely... he's somebody that his gas tank has never been like his strongest attribute, Like he'll last.
Didn't look bad in his last fight.
True. He goes long distances and stuff, but it's not like he finishes fights at the same speed as he starts them. Like he does fade. The problem is he gets into wars, so the other guys fade also. So he kind of gets away with it a little bit. But man, yeah, Rakhmonov he just looked like he was like kind of on a mission. Just like wasn't gonna falter, just gonna keep coming forward. I mean, that was nasty. That was a nasty guillotine.
That was just about to say that was a beautiful guillotine, man.
Yeah.
It like as soon as he locked it in, I was like, oh, it's done, man.
Yeah, he had it. It was over.
Yeah, there's no way Oliveira was gonna be able to get out of that. But I don't think it's just the tank in the octagon. I also think it was just the energy that he brought from the walkout all the way through. Like it just didn't seem like his normal self.
I think he,
like
he's
you were saying, it might be a lot of different things.
Yeah, he's someone that I think probably thrives with the crowd and like the energy, and just it's got to be weird, especially a fighter like that who like is in wars all the time and is like very much like in your face, taking shots to land shots, just going into these dog fights.
Think about all the times he's trading.
Yeah.
And he hears the crowd react.
Yeah, exactly. Like he probably feeds off it so much that, yeah, it's got to be weird for some of these fighters. For some fighters, they say they like it more. I'm sure there's a ton of fighters who are like, it's not for me. Like I do it to put on. Like Roy Jones Jr. was talking about how every time he boxes, he is trying to put on a show for everybody. He's like, that's what I'm doing. I'm there to put on a show for people. So if like that's what he was talking about with the Mike Tyson fight. He hopes that there can be like a lot of people there because he's not going to feel the same if he's not putting on a show. Like who's he putting a show on for if there's nobody there? So there's some people, I'm sure there's mentalities like that in the UFC.
I heard that where he was talking to Rogan. He said he used to look out into the stands to see how entertained people were.
Yeah.
And that's how badass this guy was.
Yeah.
You know, he's in the middle of title fights, and he just was like, I wonder if everybody's having fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, I mean, come on. Roy Jones Jr., he was the shit, dude.
One of the best ever, man. I remember I used to have Roy Jones Jr.'s like greatest hits kind of on DVD.
Nice.
Where it showed like his best knockouts, it showed like his best defensive moves, and I was just like, oh man, I was just in awe with Roy Jones Jr., man.
Man, that lunging in left hook that he throws is so sick. He's fucking awesome, man.
I know. After listening to Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. on Rogan, I'm like, I'll watch it. I'll watch it now.
I was gonna watch it as soon as they announced it. Fuck that, dude. That's Tyson and Roy Jones Jr.
For Rakhmonov, though,
what
do you think of maybe like a Carlos Condit next?
Oh, that'd be a cool fight. Because it was Oliveira wasn't ranked, is he? No, he's not.
No.
But Condit would be a super fun fight. That division.
I think it'd be another
sick.
way to gauge Rakhmonov to see exactly where he's at. I mean, again, we already know that the UFC thinks really highly of him.
Yeah.
Carlos Condit coming off of a nice victory in his last fight. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's just one name that popped up in my head as somebody that might be a nice match for Rakhmonov.
Yeah, that's an interesting division right now, just because it seems like there's such a big gap between the top 5 and everybody else that there's a lot of mix-ups that can happen there. And Condit would be fun to watch him. Yeah, just to kind of see him test him on somebody who has like really champion level experience from Condit, you know. So, that'd be cool.
I would enjoy watching that. Again, Mick Maynard, just take a break. I got this.
Yeah.
Hey, Leon Edwards versus Chimaev.
I cannot believe that happened.
Who called that? Who called that?
And the way
if I had a way to easily find that clip and rewind it, and just play it back, I would right now. But we'll move on. Struve versus Tuivasa.
Yeah.
By the way, our bad, because we had announced that Tuivasa had been cut from the UFC.
It's not our bad, though, because do you remember how? You know why, though? Is because somebody asked Tuivasa, because there was rumors that he got cut. Someone asked him on Instagram, and he was like, yeah. He replied, yeah, he got cut. And he was just trolling. But then never did any interviews about it after or nothing. So everybody was like, oh, shit, he got cut.
I love watching Tuivasa just because he's like one of the bros, man.
Yeah, he really is.
And you sent me a link to something which I want to cover a little bit later.
Oh shit!
For Will's wisdom.
Okay.
But Tuivasa, I think he did such a good job getting inside. Mm-hmm. But this is something at the same time that has always puzzled me about Struve. I'm not going to sit here and say I've watched every single one of Struve's fights, but I think it's like the common thing where he just doesn't seem to fight like the bigger, taller, longer fighter.
Doesn't at all.
Am I off?
No, he's probably thrown 10 jabs in his whole career. You would think that the skyscraper who towers over the cage itself would use his jab to keep people away, but he just doesn't. He just doesn't fight to his natural abilities, unfortunately. That's always been the story of Stefan Struve. He just doesn't.
So I'm thinking, like, is it bad preparation? What is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where
just
he trains.
Just doesn't feel comfortable. His footwork maybe is not there to where he doesn't feel comfortable being able to jab, stick and move, or I don't know what
I would imagine part of being that tall, the part of the price you pay being that tall is lack of full body dexterity, if that makes sense.
I don't know. I would never know, Will. Tell me.
I mean, yeah, you're kind of. I mean, I'm not. What is he? 6'11"?
6'11", pushing 10 feet.
So, I would imagine. I mean, your feet are so far away from your head. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to be like. It's got to be kind of
like you tell your feet to do something, and it takes forever for the signal to get there. And
it's like a long HDMI cable run. You know, like it's gonna take a while to get there. You're gonna lose some signal by the time it gets there. Not enough bandwidth. But
I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
I mean, he's always had issues with letting people get inside, get him against the cage, all that stuff.
Hey, but good job by Tuivasa.
What was that?
But good job to Tuivasa.
Yeah, and Tuivasa looked.
He had a good game plan. He executed.
Yeah, 100%. He did a good job of closing the distance. He's definitely looks a lot more fit than normally. He talked about how he kind of just like, I mean, he was 0-3 in his last fights coming into this, right? 3 fights in a row he lost.
Yep.
So he talked about how that kind of like kick-started his mind to start kind of taking this more seriously. And I mean, it sucks because he moved to San Jose to train with DC and Kane and all those guys
for a month, a little bit over a month, yeah.
Yeah, the problem is Corona happened and he had to go back home and be with his family and stuff like that. So
he was sabotaged by Corona.
But man, if like full AKA camp Tai Tuivasa could be really sick if his mentality stays like this, because that was his weakest thing, was his defensive wrestling, things like that. So if he's training with, I mean, DC's retired, but I'm sure he's going to be in the gym all the time. I mean, you got a mind now in Khabib, who's going to be training at AKA too, or coaching at AKA. Cain Velasquez, all those guys. I mean, that's such a great gym for a heavyweight person, a heavyweight who's trying to improve his wrestling, to fill in that hole. So yeah, I'm excited for Tai Tuivasa. I think his mentality.
Cormier
changed.
was actually speaking very, very highly of him.
Yeah.
You know, during the broadcast. So. Well, and I don't feel like DC would really sugarcoat, you know.
Well, Tuivasa
but he said that he started liking wrestling.
Yeah, Tuivasa said that his first day at AKA, he was texting DC, and DC was telling him, like, oh, what time to show up and stuff like that. He shows up, and DC's like, all right, me and you, let's go 5 rounds. And Tuivasa was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm out of camp. Like, I thought we were going to ease our way into this. Like, so, yeah. I mean, it's a wood chipper over there.
Man, that's one thing you've always heard about AKA is the intensity in training. And for a while there, that was the knock.
Yeah,
you know, because
100%.
you kept on hearing of injuries popping up. You know, you take a look at somebody like Cain Velasquez, who will always wonder, you know, whether we got the best Cain still.
Yeah.
You know, and the longevity wasn't there. So, hey, Tuivasa should have known what he was getting himself into. Do your homework, Tuivasa.
Yeah, do your homework.
You know, but how dare they not have a beer ready for my boy,
I know,
Tuivasa, when he hops the fence.
He's
somebody
like
tosses him a shoe, and he's like, where's the beer? And they're like, no beer. And I was like, dude, why wouldn't you have this prepared just in case?
Yeah,
just
always.
in case. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, we'll move on.
Yeah, good fight.
Ankalaev versus Cutelaba.
The saga is officially over. Officially over.
Finally.
Dude, man.
At first, I thought Cutelaba was playing possum again. When he was on the ground, I was like, okay, this is where he's gonna sit up.
Armbar's gonna come right now.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Man, the history of this fight, though. 1 early stoppage, 3 cancellations, and then a murder. And that's what concludes the saga. Because goddamn, dude, man, that combo that he landed, the right with the left behind it.
The right left?
Oh, God.
Dude, that's in my notes, actually. I'm looking at it here.
So fast.
What a beautiful right-left combo from Ankalaev.
Yeah, and the left was landing the whole time. And they were talking about in their commentary how Cutelaba just wasn't cutting off the cage. So he was following, and anytime the angle would present itself for Ankalaev, he would just land that left, piston left, right down the middle, and he would just line him up, knock him down, line him up, knock him down, line him up, knock him down, and eventually he did it with the combo that just, it was too much for him. He was so fast.
Right on the button.
So fast, man. And then the ground.
He looked good. He looked good.
And like you were saying about playing the possum, legitimately, I thought when he went down, he was a flash KO. He came back too. and he was defending himself decently, I thought.
Yeah.
But man, the ground and pound was just too much. Eventually, he just put him out cold. I thought he was eventually going to survive that flurry of ground and pound, but
he was still playing possum.
Yeah.
Another early stoppage.
Man, he went out cold though after a few of those shots on the ground.
Yeah, and the fight didn't start off the way I expected it to, based off of how the first fight went.
Yeah,
I thought they both were gonna come out guns a-blazing, and it was a lot more calculated. Cutelaba.
Yeah. What I'm excited for this is because this fight kind of had to happen, but it was such a long time coming that because when was the first fight was in February. So it's been 8 months.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Seems like forever ago.
Yeah, it seems like forever ago. I mean, fights have been crazy since then. But we're talking about a guy now who has, if you include the early stoppage of the other one, he has 5 fights in a row now where he's won. He has a front kick knockout. Now, 3 knockouts in a row, really. And if you count the early one. And this is somebody who's now 14-1 in this division, who it seems like there's a lot of fighters who get in wars in that like fringe top 15, top 10, lower top 10. And now he can finally set himself apart from that little like mode that he's been stuck in. And now we can finally start seeing him rise in the rankings and really see what he can do in the top. Because I mean, with that hand speed, man, there's a ton of promise there for Ankalaev. I'm excited to see him fight again.
I think he called out Anthony Smith, Shogun, a couple fighters like that, which would be fun fights. I was taking a look at the top 10 earlier. And I also saw a Johnny Walker maybe just as another little stepping stone of getting, maybe into the top 6, top 7.
Yeah.
That'd be another fun fight. But there's a lot of fights out there for Ankalaev right now.
Yeah, I would like to see him fight. I don't know if I want to see him fight Anthony Smith. Johnny Walker. Man, all of a sudden, that division, I mean, you got Jan as the champion, Thiago Santos, Dominic Reyes still in the mix, Glover Teixeira still somehow doing it, Rakic, Yuri Prochaska, Ozdemir still. You know what? Does Ozdemir have a fight booked?
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Ozdemir has some quick hands too.
Yeah, no time. I want to see that. That'd be a sick fight. And then Jimmy Crute can get in the mix there too. Yeah, I'm excited. Light heavyweight division all of a sudden is pretty sick.
All of a sudden, that takes us over to the next one. Malkoun versus Hawes.
Yeah, dude.
So here's a fighter comes into UFC 7-2, right? And impressed.
Yeah.
In his debut. Mm-hmm. I know he was coming off the Contender Series, but this is official UFC debut, man, and he was really impressive.
You could tell as soon as the fight started, just by body language, that Malkoun was hesitant and a little bit worried of the power, I think. Instantly retreated back to the cage.
With good reason.
Yeah. And
with good reason.
You could tell he just didn't really know how to get away from the cage. And Hawes was just walked him straight to the cage and was like, just let me get in range. And as soon as he got in range, first combo he threw, rocked him, followed up with it. It was just one of those fights where it was like, I don't want to say there's levels to it because it's not like DC versus like certain fighters, right? Where it's like evident, but there's still levels to this at any step of the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Malkoun, I believe that was his first loss.
Yeah. I mean, 4-1 now. So 5th pro fight. Yeah. So yeah, he just hasn't seen, I don't think he's seen anybody like that. This is his debut also.
I was watching Hawes, and I was watching his explosiveness.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, give me a Hawes versus Buckley.
Oh, I know, yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, that'd be sick. That'd be super sick. I mean...
I would love watching that.
Yeah, they're just, both of them just straight power. Like, oh, what's your game plan? Power. That's my game plan.
Power.
Yeah.
What's your game plan? I'll hit him.
Oh, what's your favorite technique? My power.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see here. Not much to say about that fight. It was a quick fight. I think it was 18 seconds, right? Tied for second fastest in middleweight.
Yeah.
For debut.
18 seconds. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Unranked, but exciting to. I'm excited to see him fight again. Just give him strikers.
For sure.
Don't even give him a wrestler. I don't even want to see it.
Don't even give him what?
A wrestler. Just give it striker versus striker.
Oh,
I just want to see him. I just want to see his
Buckley.
hands. Yeah.
Just throw Buckley in there. And then after that, if he does really well against Buckley, maybe Darren the Dentist.
Oh, that'd be
maybe
good. No. Maki Pitolo.
Holland.
Maki Pitolo. I want to see him fight him.
Oh, Pitolo. Yeah. Dude, his last fights have been bangers.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Maybe not. He didn't come out on the winning end.
Yeah, but man, that guy's tough as nails.
Ooh, that's a good fight.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Okay, before Buckley, let's see the Pitolo fight.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, Volkov versus Harris. So for me, watching this one, and after watching Struve, I was like, okay, this is the exact opposite.
Yeah.
When you see Volkov being able to use his length and distance, right? I think he did such a good job. And did he always have that back piece?
No, before it was a manta
or is that
ray,
new?
Or a stingray. It was a stingray, tribal stingray on his back, just the top portion of his back, and then he covered it up with the gigantic back piece. It looks sick. That's a top pound for pound tattoo in the UFC right now.
we might have to do a rankings episode of best tattoos in the UFC.
Hey, old school shout out, Scott Jorgensen. Remember that dude?
Scott. No.
He had fights with like Uriah Faber and all those guys back in the day. He had vitiligo, right? So he had like the spots on his body that would lose pigment.
Yeah.
So he had big portions of his skin eventually that I think he's now almost completely pale. But his tattoos, because of that, were so vibrant, and like the contrast in his tattoos were so gnarly because he lost all pigment. So by contrast, on the super pale skin, he had these super vibrant, like awesome tattoos. Old school Scott Jorgensen.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look it up, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look it up. But hey, again, Volkov, phenomenal job. And now that we talked about his tattoo more than we probably needed to.
Yeah. Dude, can Walt Harris please just get a lower ranked fighter? I just want to see him get a win so fucking bad, dude. Like
me too, especially after his last fight.
The fuck, dude? Yeah. Give him some easier fights. It's like,
hey, Overeem, he had Overeem hurt.
He did.
And it was just the experience of Overeem that brought it back, and Walt Harris kind of blowing his wad, trying to get Overeem out, and so he's a higher caliber fighter for sure, especially in the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
But you're right. Let's get him a W again and get him going back in the right direction.
I just want to see him win, man.
But for Volkov, I was thinking maybe a JDS next for Volkov.
Yeah. JDS would be a fun fight.
Maybe a rematch with Lewis.
Yeah, because if you look at it, I mean, if you go back to 5 years ago, was his last loss before coming into the UFC, and since then he's lost to Derek Lewis and Curtis Blades. So there's no knock in losing to both those guys. Curtis Blades is arguably champion level material outside of fighting Ngannou. He was supposed to fight Junior Dos Santos, Volkov was, but it got canceled. So I'd be into that. He's somebody that when he came into the UFC, I thought he was going to fight for the belt soon. I was like, this guy is a real heavyweight contender. I was excited because the UFC heavyweight division had been shallow for a very long time, so I was really excited to see him step in, and he just still hasn't quite like gotten there, but he has all the potential to do so. He's so good. He fights. He's like a heavyweight, like Alexander Gustafsson. I really like him. That front kick to the body, man. Fucking hell, dude. And then they were like, "Oh, I think it was
that looks
low."
So painful.
And it's like, nah,
that
dude.
looks so painful.
You could hear him go, ugh, like fucking gnarly, dude. I can't even imagine.
That looks so painful.
Yeah, can't even imagine.
That referee, by the way, good job.
Yeah.
Right, because again, we've seen cases like this where there's a body shot and the ref's not sure, so they just kind of like, excellent job. This referee, by the way, there's a general manager within D50 over in your neck of the woods that looks just like him by the name of Todd.
Really?
Just like him, spitting image. I'll send you a picture later.
Yeah.
As soon as you see him, you're going to be like, oh shit, this is what he does in his spare time. He flies to Abu Dhabi, refs fights, and then comes back. But Volkov, again, give me JDS, Volkov next. I'd love to see that fight.
Yeah, I would love to see
think that'd be a nice way to kind of, I don't know if I feel like at this point in JDS' career, Volkov might be a little too much for him.
Yeah.
Especially after the wars he's been through. But it would be a nice way to propel Volkov and shoot him into that top 5.
Yeah, I think they said they're trying to work on Cyril Gane versus JDS. I don't know if that's not official yet, but they said they're working on it. So I wonder if that's going to happen. If that doesn't happen, I'd love to see Volkov fight him.
Let me see here. Okay, well, let's go on to Whittaker versus Cannonier.
This was the fight I was kind of most excited about, to be honest.
It was a fantastic fight. Apparently, Cannonier went out there and said that he broke his ulna in the first round due to a kick by Whittaker.
The first kick. And Whittaker broke his foot in the first round. So, was it the
Probably
same kick?
From breaking. Cannonier, so much power.
I know.
Behind that kick, man. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what a fight. And,
Dude.
Him breaking his ulna kind of explains. I felt like he was a little hesitant after the first round.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure whether it was because he felt like he got caught with something or not. But, I mean, a broken arm might explain why he was a little hesitant to throw that.
Yeah, and that combo from Whittaker, that the right hand, right high kick right behind it is so good. And he set the trap so perfectly because he would just throw the cross to the high kick with the rear leg, right? And he kept just doing that. Just 2 high kick. And then at the same time, he would land the 1-2. And then he'd land the 1-2. And then the 1-2. And then in the third, when he really, really hurt Cannonier, he landed the 1-2 high kick. So I think he set the play of, if I start with the cross, the high kick's coming. If I start with the jab, the 2's coming. And then by the end, once you get used to seeing the 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, now he throws up the high kick at the end of it and puts the whole thing together. And it would just...
But wait, there's more.
And he
just comes over with
Dude, and it's so fast, man. I don't know how the fuck he can throw that 1-2 high kick with the same side that quick. He's so fast, man.
After watching Whittaker against Till,
Yeah.
and Till, man, put up a fight. That was
Yeah.
a really close fight.
Mm-hmm.
And after watching Whittaker with Till, and after watching Whittaker with Cannonier, I'm just so excited now for the Adesanya Whittaker rematch. Because I really feel like it's going to be a different Whittaker stepping into the octagon against Adesanya.
Well, for me, there's 2 parts to this. Because if Cannonier beat Whittaker, even if it was close, but he edged him out, and it wasn't even that impressive, but he got the W, I would say that's what I'm excited for is Adesanya versus Cannonier. And I thought it was going to take a lot for me to think that Whittaker could earn a title shot off of this performance. I think it's going into this fight, I was like, it's still too recent from his fight with Adesanya. I don't want to see that because he got KO'd twice, basically. He's going to have to do a lot to earn it, and I think he did pretty much everything he had to. Not because he made like a full-on finish statement, right? But I mean, when Cannonier face planted, they could have easily called that fight. They didn't, and I'm glad they didn't let him, because he ended up hurting Whittaker later in that round. But he could have got that finish that he kind of needed to get the title shot. But I think what earned him the title shot of this fight is, he got past Till, which was impressive. But then in this fight, the way that he won is the way that you have to fight Adesanya. He kind of showed, I can outstrike somebody from the outside and not just go crazy rushing in for these power shots like he did against Adesanya. He stayed disciplined with the jab. He would double up on the jab. His footwork was fantastic in this fight. He wasn't just going straight in a straight line right at him every time. He showed that he improved his style in a way that complements him against someone like Adesanya. So that's what earned that title shot for me, is now I see a path to victory for Whittaker that I didn't see before.
And when I think about, exactly what you were saying right now, it might make for a less exciting fight, maybe for some casual fans, but I think it's going to be one of those displays of technique.
Yeah, one of those ones where you're on the edge of your seat
match
the whole time. Because we know that all it takes is getting in the pocket once with Adesanya, and Adesanya has the power to knock out Whittaker. He's done it twice already. So we know at any second it could happen. And it's a game plan of, can Whittaker stay on the outside, force Adesanya to be center, and not take it to him like that. And just, man, his technique in this fight was so fucking good, man, and his striking defense looked unreal. He ate a lot of leg kicks, but it seemed like it didn't even phase. The fact that he had a broken foot, I would never have guessed that. His footwork stayed fantastic the whole fight.
I mean, he just proved he's still one of the best, not just middleweights, but just fighters.
Bobby Knuckles,
on
dude.
the UFC roster.
Bobby Knuckles.
Bobby Knuckles.
I mean,
Bobby Knuckles.
His resume at middleweight, I don't think he has what is it 13 wins at middleweight and 1 loss. He's 13-1 at middleweight. I mean, if you're gonna deserve a title shot and a rematch for the belt, I mean that's how you do it. What else does he have to do? You know?
Absolutely, agree with you 100%. All right, the story of the fight for me, which I'm sure is the story of the fight for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we recorded our reaction to this yesterday. We have Khabib Nurmagomedov. Last fight, final fight, retired.
Yeah, surprise.
Against the highlight, Justin Gaethje, man.
Yeah.
You know, Gaethje with those leg kicks.
Dude, he'd shoot up that lead leg.
Those leg kicks were brutal.
Dude, for a second in that first round, I was like, he might have done the damage that he needed to do. I mean, it looked like Khabib's footwork was different at the end of that first round. It was.
And he even said post-fight, he said he felt like maybe one more round with those leg kicks and he wouldn't be able to walk anymore.
Yeah.
Or did he say like 2 or 3 more of those leg kicks he wouldn't be able to walk anymore?
Yeah, well, Trevor Whitman said in between rounds, he was like, give me 8 more leg kicks. That's all we need. 8 more. And it's like, but you got to survive. You got to still survive.
He must have not watched Dominic Cruz's instructional video. This is what happens when you don't watch Dominic Cruz's instructional videos. I mean, you end up on the losing end against Khabib.
Or listening to one of the greatest to ever do it in Gleison Tebow, who said, if you defend the takedown, you can win against Khabib. Simple as that.
All those other 29 fighters would have just known that going into that fight, Khabib might have never won a fight.
Yeah. It's not like Gleison Tebow when he fought Khabib, stuffed a bunch of takedowns. But still lost.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
Absolute monster, man.
Yeah.
We said it yesterday. Generational athlete. For me, growing up watching Michael Jordan, I didn't appreciate because of the age I was at.
Yeah.
And knowing I'm watching greatness right now.
Yeah.
I just didn't comprehend that at that point in time. Right now, watching Khabib, I'm able to appreciate what he's been able to do for the mixed martial arts world. I'm able to appreciate the greatness, which is Khabib, not just inside the octagon, outside the octagon, the way he's carried himself, being a true champion in every form possible, in every sense of the word. Man, and I just feel so lucky to have been able to watch Khabib's career within mixed martial arts.
Yeah, for me, Michael Jordan, I mean, Michael Jordan was never a thing for me, really, to be honest. Never really was into basketball. Obviously, I don't know, when did Jordan retire?
Late 90s?
Yeah, so I was born in 96, so
or early 2000s.
Yeah.
Or early 2000s.
So for me, that was just never a thing. For me, my comparison to that would be someone like, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves, in my opinion, is Barry Bonds, right? I knew he was great when I was a kid, but at the same time, with like the rubber chicken, like pitchers would just walk him all the fucking time. Like he got walked more in 1 year than Trout has his whole career so far. In 1 year, all intentionally walked. So like. And I still didn't really grasp that as much as like I do now, right, when I was watching him. But someone like Anderson Silva, John Jones early in his career, GSP, you recognize what they're doing. I think Anderson Silva embodied it more than anybody, of just like just so above everybody else that now when you see Khabib, it's just to say, in my opinion, and I rewatched the fight, this was by far the hardest fight he's had, in my opinion, as far as like damage that he sustained and having to actually overcome something in the fight.
Dude, he took some nasty hooks.
Dude, that first round, two judges gave the first round
up.
to Gaethje. So Gaethje did damage in that first round. And the fact that this was his hardest fight that we've seen him take, and he finished it in the second round, is just unreal, man. Like that just doesn't make any sense. Like the toughest fight for him is one where he choked the guy out in the second round. Sounds like easy work when you say it like that, you know, like, and like you said, just so disciplined, just stood for like everything that mixed martial arts is supposed to be stood for, like respect, integrity, discipline, all these things that you hear about. We got to see it in a champion. And you can really see it when you take a look at the flip side of him. Is the only 2 times he's ever really showed emotion, it's like a very big outburst of emotion, right? With the jump in the cage, starting to brawl, all that stuff, right? It took a lot to get him there. And then the only other time we've seen him outburst with emotion is after this fight, where he just immediately drops and is sobbing, like not just crying with tears, but like sobbing, where you can see his chest and his back like convulsing, because he's just like everybody's been there, everybody's cried like that. So to see someone like him outburst like that, it was even more, I think, more of an outburst than even the jumping the cage and starting to brawl with Dylan Dennis and all that bullshit. And then you see what that translates to, and how much respect he's earned and that other people give him, and how much it rubs off onto people, subconsciously or not. But then you see Gaethje, who was just choked out unconscious in the world title fight, come over to him, put his arm around him while he's crying, and puts his arm around him while he's sobbing on the ground. A guy that just choked him out, and he comes over, puts his arm around him, tells him he made his father proud. All this, it's just,
oh man,
he takes respect because he's so respectful.
He earns it.
Yeah, he just earns it. It's just people respect him because of all those things that we mentioned. But to see it just so apparent and visible and on the forefront and not subtle whatsoever, to just see it all right there, was just such a fitting end to his career, you know, and just like what he's done.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And you know, you talk about the fact that he was very stoic, you know, and the only times he showed emotion, I think about even leading up to that brawl, and after the bus incident. Yeah. You see him sitting in the bus, he's looking out the window like, what's going on right now, right? Like, what are we doing? And then afterwards, one of the creepiest moments, where he looks dead into the camera and just says, send me location. Yeah. Right? Just send me location. And that I think is, in a nutshell, Khabib right there. Yeah. Just a deadly man. He knew he could do damage, and he knew, you know, how badass he is. Yeah. But he wasn't arrogant, you know, he wasn't out there just a la Conor McGregor. Yeah. Right? Just prancing around, and I don't know, man, just a once in a lifetime type of fighter, I think. And
yeah, it really is.
Again, I'm just extremely grateful to have been able to see him. So
yeah, and there's because of the rivalry with Conor, there's always going to be Khabib haters, and there's people who say, oh, he's a boring wrestler, he doesn't fight, he's just a wrestler, he smothers people, all this stuff. Dude, I don't know if you caught it. I caught it in the second time I watched this fight. When he lands that big knee on the top of Gaethje's head. Oh. Did you catch that he points at his knee, points at Gaethje's head, and then throws it and lands it? This isn't like an Anderson Silva style, Adesanya style, amazing striker who's been doing it their whole life and is able to call out stuff like that. This is a wrestler who's putting up striking as a secondary thing in his career, a secondary facet in his game. And he points to his knee, points at his head, and then knees him in the head. Just like, wow. Fuck, man.
I need to go back and watch that, because that just gave me goosebumps right now.
Yeah, it's just so good,
That's
dude.
Awesome.
And to say that he's boring and just a wrestler and all this stuff, fuck off, man.
ESPN, please give us a reality TV show with DC.
I know.
And with Khabib, and guaranteed ratings. Yeah. Even if it's just an ESPN Plus show. Yeah. You know how many people would end up watching that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I mean,
those two together is classic.
Did you see in the Embedded? Did you watch all the Embedded leading up to this or no?
No.
So when Khabib first gets there to Abu Dhabi, DC was already there, and DC greets him in like the lobby of like this. It's a crazy building.
Oh,
but,
I saw that.
Yeah, and they like wrestle for a little bit, and then he sees his like designer like his designer slides, and he's like, "Who is this?" And he's like, "I used to know a guy named Khabib. What happened to him? Like, who's this guy?"
He used to shop at Ross.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Coleslaw. Actually met Islam Makhachev at Ross in San Jose one time late in the evening.
Oh, no way.
So I'm sure when DC said that, he probably meant it. Yeah, I bet you all those guys go to Ross after training and stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
But,
and what do you say? He used to go to training in polos, like when he first got there.
Yeah,
we trained in polos, and dude, I mean, we talk about a rags to riches story.
Yeah.
You know, from the mountains of Dagestan, wrestling bears. You know, there's videos of Khabib talking about this specifically.
Yeah, I mean, there's videos of him wrestling bears.
What he's turned into. $10 million for this.
I was about to say, did you hear that rumor about his disclosed pay is a flat rate $10 million?
$10 million
Allegedly.
for this fight.
Allegedly, we don't know for sure.
Allegedly.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But I know that he was going in being one of the highest paid fighters of all time in the UFC.
Yeah.
For flat rate.
Yeah. Oh, the thing about DC too on the embedded, the next episode. So the interaction, right, of them like wrestling in the lobby and talking shit to each other and stuff. And in the next episode, it was like the weight cut episode, and just kind of like following everybody during their weight cut. And Khabib's on the wearing like 2 jackets, has a sweatband. Dude, there's a part where he goes like this to like wring out the sweatband on his head, and it's just like a waterfall, and it's like, fuck, man.
Oh,
I've never sweat like that in my whole life. But he's running on the treadmill, and he's watching on his phone, like mounted on the bottom of the treadmill. He's watching the embedded, and they get a shot of the phone, and it's the part where DC's like wrestling him and stuff, and it kind of like goes up to Khabib, and he's just like has like this small little little smile as he's watching it, and it's like, man,
he loves him, dude.
Yeah, the respect and love between those two guys is just so cool to see. Like,
one of my favorite ones where he goes up to Khabib and goes, "Hey, you love Khabib?
Yeah.
You love Khabib? You wear your own clothes?"
Yeah.
And he looks down, he just kind of like laughs and shakes his head and walks off. Again, dude, those two together, I hope we continue getting more footage like that.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Between those two, because
the other thing Khabib said to him in the interaction when he first got there, he was like, DC, he's like, please respect me. Like, look down when you talk to me. Like, don't look in my eyes. Like, when you were double champ, like I wouldn't look in your eyes out of respect. Like now I'm the champ. You're not. So divert your eyes, please. Like, it's so funny, dude.
There's another one like that where he's talking to Khabib like this.
Yeah.
And he goes, "You can look at me." He goes, "Oh, I can look at you?" He's like, "Oh, dude, it's too hard."
Yeah.
You know? Again, those guys together, hilarious. And, you know, one thing after we recorded our reactions yesterday, Will, and I said I'm going to mention it today, was just the shitbox of John Jones not letting Khabib have this moment.
Well, did you see after the fact?
I cannot stress it. Yes, I saw after the fact, and it made me so upset, dude. I'm telling you, I have never despised a person so much.
Yeah.
It just maybe Donovan McNabb with the Eagles as a Cowboys fan.
You're talking about the Campbell soup
and
guy?
any Dodgers players. And any Dodgers players.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I've never despised anybody so much, man. I just, for him to say that he has to be still considered the GOAT because of the amount of title defenses, because of, again, when I think about somebody that I consider the greatest of all time within a sport, I think about within and without what they're doing, right? Like, what do they stand for?
Yeah.
What will they be remembered for? When I think about, you know, Dallas, for example, my youngest son, Dallas, you know, enjoys jiu-jitsu. If he ends up getting into mixed martial arts, if he ends up doing anything else like that, I'm going to tell him, let's watch Khabib video. Mm-hmm. Let's watch what Khabib stood for.
Yeah.
Follow, from the beginning to end, read up on Khabib. You know, look at what the type of man he was.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that with John Jones.
Yeah, no.
Right?
It's not gonna happen.
Or I might and say, let me show you what happens when you do drugs.
When you drink your own Kool-Aid.
When you drink your own Kool-Aid, when you do drugs, and when you hang out with homeless people shooting guns.
Yeah.
This is what happens,
outside of
right?
strip club.
Outside.
There's more to that story.
Oh, dude, honestly, it sounds like a fun Friday night.
What the fuck happened that night?
when you are a champion, and what I consider to be somebody that could be the face of an organization.
Yeah.
That is not how you conduct yourself. That's not how you carry yourself. And Khabib is just that. He is a true champion inside and out. So for this scumbag to go on there on a Twitter rampage saying that he should be considered the GOAT due to the amount of title defenses, the quality of opponents. Get that shit out of here.
And then he pulled the card.
Seriously.
He pulled the card that the only reason people don't consider him the GOAT and the top 1 pound per pound is because he's black. Which at that point, you want to talk about the least racist sport in the whole world? Come on, dude. You think it's because you're black? Like, what about all these other great black fighters that people give credit to? Like, it's not...
Look, dude, I know that there's a lot of social injustice going on right now.
Yeah.
You know, and he pointed out the fact that as a black person in America, you have to work twice as hard to get recognition. You know what? I'm not arguing that.
I'm
not arguing that at all. Because I feel like John Jones, in many cases, when it comes to that, it might be right.
It probably is.
I don't know what it feels like to be black out there. Yeah. I don't know. But John Jones was considered to be one of the best fighters out there.
Yeah.
And nobody is to blame for the hiding under the octagon, the sleepless nights, partying up with Steve Aoki before fights, the taking dick pills and failing your drug tests.
No, let's be honest.
The picogram issue.
He took steroids.
Taking steroids. Nobody is to blame for that other than John Jones.
Yeah.
So for John Jones to sit here, make excuses, try to take this moment away from Khabib, which for me is one of the most beautiful moments.
Yeah.
It's one of the most beautiful moments I've seen in, not just in the UFC, but in sports in general recently.
Yeah.
And for this shitbox, as James Krause likes to say, shitbox, to come in and try to take this moment away and once again prove why he is one of the most disliked fighters in the UFC. Dude, I was livid this morning when I woke up and started reading that.
It's just one of those things that, because you can go down that path, that argument, right, of who is the great. It's going to happen continually. John Jones, resume-wise, probably is, in my opinion, performance-wise, resume-wise. But the problem is, there's two parts to this. The problem is, you took steroids. You did. Did everybody else take steroids? Probably. Were they caught? No? Cool. So we're going to look at you now. That discredits most of the things he's done, in my opinion. And that's why,
Agreed.
I'll be honest, GSP is an actual idol to me, right? Growing up, GSP, like everything you said about Khabib, GSP is probably the only other person that you can say without fault carried himself like a champion in every facet of his life. Did he probably take steroids in his career? Probably. It sucks to say that, but he probably did. But he didn't get caught.
And that's an assumption.
It's an assumption.
And that's an assumption.
Because he didn't get caught. In fact, he pushed for stricter drug testing. So who knows? But I'm not going to play naive and say that there's no way that GSP ever took any performance-enhancing drugs, because we just don't know, and it'd be ignorant to say that. That being said, in my opinion, since John got caught multiple times, they made a new rule for him because of it was still in his system.
Just so he can continue fighting.
Yeah. It discredits it for me. He's no longer in the consideration. Even if you disagree with that and you still think, like he probably does of himself, that he is number one pound for pound and the greatest of all time, give it a fucking rest for a night. Just don't talk about it. Why the fuck are you going to go on some Donald Trump style rant overnight? Probably coked out, or probably on, I mean, he's probably in an altered state during all this. But
he was probably in the middle of getting a lap dance while he was tweeting.
Yeah. Just let him fucking and for him to, there's like 10 tweets of him going off about how he's the greatest and how this is bullshit. But then there's 3 within that 10 where he says, I respect Khabib fully and he deserves this, blah, blah, blah. Let him have his moment. You're not, just because you say let him have his moment, doesn't mean you're letting him have his moment. That doesn't excuse you for all the other tweets that you're going to say. So just fucking actually let him have his moment. And if you want to dispute the pound for pound stuff and dispute the greatest of all time stuff, do it a week from now. Let an interviewer ask you about it, and then you can give your piece. Don't go all crazy and take the shine away from Khabib in this moment.
There would still be an argument for it a week from now.
Yeah.
Like you said.
Doesn't disappear. We talk about
nothing's
going to
change.
GSP. We talk about BJ Penn still being potentially the greatest. Like, that, your resume will last forever. So we don't need to have it right now. It's not a current event. You know what I mean?
I'm legitimately pissed right now. Like, I'm so...
Yeah, no, I get
I'm
it.
frustrated. I'm upset.
Well, what's crazy is we were pissed. We were pissed when we filmed that reaction video. We said, I think, as soon as we stopped recording, but we were pissed at the very first tweet where he's like, I'll let you have the pound-for-pound spot. Like it's mine to give. Right? We were pissed at just that. I'll let
you have it?
We were pissed at just that. Then 10 hours later, he goes on this crazy
rant. And then he
rant.
said, hold my beer.
Yeah. Oh, you were mad at that?
Hold my beer. You thought that was bad. Hold my beer. Hold my cocaine.
Dude,
Give me just a second.
I screenshotted, because I didn't know if you'd seen it or not. So before we recorded, I screenshotted. That's how many tweets. You have to... It's fucking... No, it's not going to show it, huh? It's not going to adjust.
No, but when you had it minimized, you could see how long it was.
That's how many tweets. What are we doing here?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
A little defensive much?
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Dude. Like, hey, maybe if you want to be considered, maybe don't take fucking steroids. Maybe fight number one contenders. You know?
Yeah. You know what? When I think about somebody if they were to just drop off the face of the earth, and I'm not saying die or anything like that, right? Because I don't wish that type of shit on anybody. But just for, let's say something were to happen, he's coked out again, he's driving under the influence, hits another pregnant lady, grabs his coke and runs away from the vehicle again, and the UFC finally says, after all the shit that he's done, we're cutting ties, and I never hear from this guy or about this guy again, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I will never wonder, what if John Jones, No, I don't care. Just because, sure, as a fighter, he is one of the best fighters we have ever seen. Mm-hmm. But just as a person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, your accolades and what you've done inside that octagon, for me, means shit. Like, just because you just have this giant dark cloud over you at all times.
Yeah, and like we talked about too, I mean, the list is long, right? As impressive as his resume is inside the cage, his resume outside the cage is equally as impressive in its
his
shittiness.
List of title defenses?
Yeah.
His list of stupid shit he's done.
Of wrongdoings. But all it takes is one for me, and it's talking shit to DC about drunk driving after DC lost a baby to a drunk driving accident. That's it. Even if you took away hitting a pregnant woman with his car while he's driving under the influence, leaving the scene, coming back to it, grabbing his weed, leaving again, choking out a stripper, shooting guns with homeless people, taking steroids, all of these things. If you took all that stuff away and just left it at that, that's enough for me. That's enough to say, fuck you, I'm done with you. Just that. The problem is, there's a lot more than just that. So, like, what? It's just crazy to me. I mean, the guy's fucking...
Yeah.
Just despicable.
Ridiculous. You know what? Let's move on, Will, because I'm tired of talking about this guy.
Yeah.
I could sit here and talk for a full hour on why you dislike John Jones, and I'm sure the listeners, whoever's listening, will just get tired of us talking shit about John Jones, too.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Back to Khabib, actually. One thing I thought about is...
Okay.
Most people who don't embody everything that Khabib embodies, I would say probably will come back out of retirement to get that 30th win. I don't think Khabib will because of the promise to his mother. I think that's something that actually means something to him, that he won't do it. But what if...
Absolutely.
What if... Because people are people and they can change their mind. What if his mom decides later on... I mean, let's be honest. She lost a husband. He lost a father. They're still grieving. The fact that Khabib had a performance like that while still grieving is insane. But they're still grieving. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to sound harsh or insensitive, but decisions made under a significant amount of grief might not be fully set in stone, right? Mm-hmm. I think Khabib's promise to his mother is set in stone. What I'm not fully convinced is set in stone is his mother's wish for him to never fight again without his father. I'm not fully convinced that's 100% set in stone, and I don't think it's likely I think that's the last time we see Khabib fight. But I also would not be surprised if his mother, somewhere down the line in the next few years or so, decides, I want to see you fulfill the legacy and your father's plan. Get the 30-0. It's okay. You can do this. And then Khabib is almost free from the promise, right?
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I just don't see it.
I don't think it's likely, but I also wouldn't be surprised.
Yep. I mean, I just don't see it, man.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Just something about Khabib, again, the way he carries himself. Mm-hmm. He just seems to be a man of his word.
Yeah.
And I think just as much as his mom, as he said, didn't want to fight without his dad, I think he also didn't want to fight without his dad because it's something that's
a good point too.
You know?
Yeah.
So we did have a message come through from Mr. George where he's talking about, you know, how this was a very heartfelt moment. Much respect to Khabib. Sucks to see him go because watching greatness work is always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Right? He's happy he was at least able to watch his debut rise and end.
Yeah.
That's a really nice way to put it, right? He also mentioned he would probably book Hooker versus Oliveira. This will show if Hooker can stay in the top 5 and work his way back up. He also talked about Ferguson versus Chandler. And he says, P.S. Chandler is low-key a dark horse in this division. So if you don't mind, we'll transition into Will's wisdom because this is kind of part of the Will's wisdom. All right, so let me get it open. So Chandler himself said he wants a 4-way tournament for the lightweight title. Is this the best way to crown a champion right now? Agree or disagree?
Disagree. It'd be fun, but I do think the best way for the division right now is to make Dustin versus Conor be for the belt and go from there, because when you do the tournament like that, it's just the UFC's not structured for a tournament style like that. And
yeah, I think he's thinking Bellator still, right?
Yeah, I think he's thinking Bellator still. And the problem with tournament style when it's not structured for it is it ends up killing contenders for the champion who comes out of it. And then it's like the path to the belt is now more meaningful than the reign of the champion. It creates too many rematches for me. What I would do is have Conor fight Dustin for the belt. You have Tony versus Chandler. Khabib didn't take much damage here. I think since he just fought for the belt, I wouldn't be opposed to him fighting the winner of Dustin versus Conor. Winner of Tony versus
Gaethje.
Yeah, Gaethje fighting the winner of Conor versus.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. The winner of Tony versus Chandler, I think, should fight. That's good enough to be a title eliminator, in my opinion. So if you don't go Gaethje, then you go winner of that fighting the winner of Conor versus Dustin. And then you can have the loser of Conor Dustin fight Gaethje, because I would love to see Poirier fight Gaethje again. I would love to see Conor fight Gaethje. So I think that's the route you go. You go more standard as this is now for a vacant belt. And then we're going to make these matchups to find out the new contender, and just not really do a full-on tournament style. I love tournaments. I love the Pride Grand Prix. I love all that stuff. But unfortunately, I think that tournament style is best with less regulations and when you fight multiple times a night, because that's when the real shit goes down.
I like it.
And that's when I like tournaments.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. So Bam Tuivasa recently posted a video. Recently posted a video on Instagram where it looks like he had a really fun night last night.
Yeah.
And he also says that he pissed the bed.
He pissed the bed.
And he shows an image. Will, is it ever okay for a man to piss the bed? Long night of partying or not? Yes or no?
I think being in the UFC, being scared you're going to get cut, your 3 losses in a row, and you get a first round knockout, I think that's the best time to any to get so fucked up that you piss the bed. There's nobody else in the bed.
Acceptable in this case.
Yeah, nobody else in the bed. It's just you. It's all good. You didn't piss on anybody else. It's acceptable in my opinion.
All right, nice. I like it. So next one. Chimaev opens up as a favorite against Edwards.
Yeah.
You placing a bet on Edwards?
I want to see, because I think the Khamzat hype train is going to continue and more bets are going to be placed in his favor. So I'm just going to try to let that kind of saturate a little bit more and get better odds on Leon, because I think that's a very good bet. Because Khamzat, I'm not saying Khamzat doesn't have a chance to beat him. He could easily, I mean, he might steamroll him. That might happen. But I think Leon's a real contender. Real contender now. Now we're in the real shit where gone are the days of Khamzat taking fights weeks in advance and all this crazy shit. Can't do it in the top 5, unfortunately. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because other top fighters are not going to be willing to do that stuff. So now we're seeing Khamzat become contender Khamzat and not crazy any fight, any weight, any time. That's all gone.
He can still smash.
Yeah.
But not smash as often.
Exactly. So he might run through Edwards.
All right.
He might run through Edwards, but man, if Edwards is a huge underdog, that's a very good bet to take.
All right. Last one here, Will. This is a short one. Will's wisdom. You have to work with one, hang out with one, and fire one. John Anik, Goldie, Joe Rogan.
Hang out with one, work with one, and fire one.
Yep.
That sucks because it's obvious it's hang out with Rogan. Obvious.
Okay.
And nostalgia's sake and just pure fun's sake, you work with Goldberg just because that guy's probably fucking hilarious. When he fumbles on his words and he makes weird jokes to you. That's got to be the most fun thing in the world. And unfortunately, that leaves Anik to get fired, but that's how you got to do it.
I like it. So that's it for Will's wisdom. And there's just one more thing I want to point out, Will, before we go. And I meant to talk about this during the Khabib portion, but I wanted to give some credit to somebody that I think doesn't get very much credit, and that'd be Javier Mendez.
Yeah.
Coach at AKA. Because when you take a look at the fighters such as Luke Rockhold, DC, Khabib, all the different personalities, right? We get some... Exactly. A lot of them do give a lot of kudos and credit to Javier Mendez as well. You see the influence that he has on these fighters. And I just wanted to, again, give him some recognition because I don't think he gets enough.
Yeah.
I remember meeting him where, before I knew of Javier Mendez, he was returning something at the store.
Oh, really?
And he had his... I've told you this.
I don't remember.
He had his AKA shirt on.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool, man. You train at AKA? And he goes... he goes, kinda. I was like, kinda. He goes, yeah, I coach there. And I was like, oh, cool. Just kept on doing my thing, and then afterwards, I'm like looking him up. I was like, oh. Yeah. But again, awesome. Just wanted to give Javier Mendez some credit. We talk about some of these good coaches out there that say behind the limelight, and he's definitely one of them that comes to mind. So
yeah.
Props to him and what they've been able to accomplish over at AKA.
Yeah, I'm sure they're incredibly proud. I mean, the worst thing that's happened in 2020, I'll come out and say it, is the fact that we lose DC and Khabib in the same year.
Oh, man.
That
is so true. That is so true.
Fuck
2020
COVID,
sucks.
fuck all this other bullshit. DC and Khabib are now gone. That's a bummer. In the same year.
2020 is the worst year ever.
Yeah.
But the good thing is we started this podcast in 2020.
That's true. That's true.
So one good thing. Yeah. All right, that's all I got, Will. Do you have anything else?
No. Nope, that's it.
All right. Well, that's another week. Thank you for listening to Story of the Fight, everybody. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to Story of the Fight. We really appreciate everybody's support. If you don't mind hitting the subscribe button, and when you do subscribe, make sure that you hit the notification button as well. That way you get notified whenever we upload anything new. Don't forget to hit the like button. It goes a long way for us. And leave some comments. We love interacting with everybody.
Yeah, and if you want to stay even more up to date, you can follow us at Story of the Fight on Instagram and Twitter. And you can email us at storyofthefight@gmail.com. Ask questions, give us feedback, critique us. We want to make this better, and input helps us do that.
Thanks for listening to Story of the Fight, everybody.